Aloha, Sister Elaine here with the next video in how to craft your radio program. I'm going to start with sharing my screen and show you the playlist that I've developed for the November 2nd Saturday show. And this is the weekend before the Seattle Slack Key Festival. So I have made this show all about the artists that will be attending the Slack Key Festival. And as you can see over on the right-hand side of the spreadsheet, I have the artists that will be playing in the Slack Key Festival and for music that I own. So the numbers just represent how many songs. For example, Kavika, I found 4 songs to play over the 2-hour program, and Jeff Peterson 5 songs. And the reason I did this was because I don't have any specific music for Pomaikai and Malie. So that's what that's all about. And I've already created all of my songs. So using the 6 columns that you've set up in your spreadsheets: artist, song, album, time, label, year. And then I started crafting my introductory statements. I interviewed Mitch Chang, and he gave me a discount code. So the code Sister Elaine can be used to purchase 1 ticket for full price, either $40 or $60, and the second ticket for $10 off. I have left some of this in italics as my instruction to myself that I haven't finalized these 3 lines. And this will probably mostly go away because I'm going to be airing the 3 interviews that I performed for this particular radio show that I'm putting together. When I interview people, I interview them on my laptop up in my clothes closet upstairs. And I use the Cleanfeed app, which I'm going to pull up right now. The Cleanfeed is used by the BBC. So I know it's a good, it's auditory only, so no video. And you go to cleanfeed.net. So I'm going to click on cleanfeed.net. I may have shown you this before. I'm going to sign in. And it already knows me as Sister Elaine, but it's telling me that my Firefox browser is not compatible. But guess what? It still works. So I just simply X this out. And here I am, Sister Elaine, with my secret password that's so secret, I don't even remember what it is because I've been using it for so many years. So clicking start, now I'm able to record my guests when they come on board. As you can see, my microphone is already picking up and using the audio signal, the meter. So you can see that if I talk really loud, I can kind of get in the yellow. Otherwise, I'm in the green, which is good. So if you get into the red or your guest is in the red, you need to have them modify their audio level, and you can coach them through it. If they're in the red, it's either because they are too close to their mic, which is usually never a problem, or they have their audio settings very high, and they need to go into their computer settings and moderate their volume. So that's how they do that. Now, to record, you would go up to the top bar here of the Cleanfeed screen, and it says record. There's no red button, but if I click record, then they want me to name this Cleanfeed session. So I'm going to pretend like I'm doing that. Let's see if I can. I'll just put in Mitch Chang because I interviewed him previously. And I have selected everyone, but really it's just my guest only. Only guests, because I'm recording on Audacity. And if I say everyone, let's go back to everyone, that means that my voice and my guest's voice is recorded on Cleanfeed. But that means if we talk over each other or we cough or sneeze or whatever it is while the other person's talking, you can't edit that out. So I want to record on my own software, Audacity, and I want my guests to only be recording on Cleanfeed. So then I click the record button at this yellow button at the bottom. And now you can see there's a red dot the name Mitch Chang. There's zero because until he comes on Cleanfeed, I haven't invited him yet, then this will not be recording him. This will automatically begin recording him as soon as he connects. And see this bar here that says connect, and it lights up when I hover my mouse over it. I'm going to connect, click the connect button, and then you type in the name of the person. So for example, and I'm not going to go through with this because we're not going to send him a, so then I would type in Mitch's email address here. And then this invite button will highlight and I can click on that. That sends him an email message with an invitation to click the link. So I'm going to X out of this window because I am not going to do that. And then when he gets the link, all he has to do is click on the link, and then this box will be replaced by him showing up. And you can see that he is on the call, and he will have a microphone and a meter reading just like mine. And I make sure that the adjustments are fine. Here's another tip. I will have emailed, either phoned or emailed my interviewee ahead of time to let them know what date and time I will be recording them. We've all agreed to the date and time, the amount of time it will take. Then I send him an email confirming that information, and that I will be sending a link via email through Cleanfeed to click on for the interview time. Then I set out parameters. They must have their own microphone. They must be in a quiet place, like a closed closet, to absorb extra sound. They must have headphones or earbuds with a mic. And those are the only requirements. Then I would say half of my interviewees don't do that. So now you have to spend time coaching them to get in the closed closet. And here's an example. Mitch Chang was in a very noisy house, very echoey, and dogs are barking. And they're easily picked up on Cleanfeed. Everything's picked up on Cleanfeed. And I said, can you go in a closed closet? And he said, no, I'll go in my car. So he gets in his car. I didn't know if it would be too echoey. It turned out fine. But that's an example of something you can expect if you're interviewing someone that's not sitting next to you in your recording area. Another thing that has crept up is that they also don't pay attention to the microphone or the earbuds. And if you don't have earbuds, you will hear them in your headset because you're going to be recording. You have to have your headset on. It doesn't have to be mic'd because you have a separate mic. So your headset, you will hear your voice and your interviewee's voice in your headphones, and you don't want that. You only want to hear yourself in your headphones, and your guest comes through Cleanfeed. So then you have to coach them on that. I had to delay an interview for another day because despite sending all of the parameters that were needed for the interview, this person chose not to use headphones or earbuds and didn't have them anywhere nearby. So we postponed the interview to the following day, and then it went smoothly because they followed the directions. So just a heads up that just because you've scheduled an interview with somebody, don't expect it to necessarily go smoothly right off the bat. And so that's it for Cleanfeed. So I'm going to get off Cleanfeed. I'll leave that page. And I'm going to go back to my playlist, my show that has my playlist and my mic break information. Again, if you're off the cuff and you don't need to record anything, then, and you can remember everything you're supposed to say, that's great. You don't want ums, ahs, you don't want any of that to come across when you are talking on air because it sounds unprofessional and people will notice if you're humming and awing and I am not that off the cuff that I can't remember, everything I'm supposed to say. For example, I always have the same introduction, but perhaps if I said it enough. I've said it over and over the years, so you would think I'd have it in my mind, but I don't want to forget to say it. Therefore, I put it in my spreadsheet. There are two elements that I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I'm going to pull up these two things on my OneDrive. This has to do with putting in Bellevue College, what I'm going to say, their promos. So it's like a PSA, public service announcement, and they have a, let's see, I believe it's here. I have a folder called KBCS, and here's my messaging doc. So let's get that up and running. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what I'm using for each hour. Bellevue College, who owns the license for KBCS and can tell us what they need, has sent us this file, which you will get once you are onboarded to KBCS. Then you will get, I think it's 32 of these PSAs. And all I do is I copy and paste this into my spreadsheet. And you can choose however many you want. I would highly recommend not choosing the same ones over and over. Please do mix them up a bit. But there are plenty to read. A few are tongue twisters. So read it out loud before you decide to actually say it on air, meaning say it while you're recording your show. 35. So it looks like there are 35 things that we can choose. You're going to choose one for each hour of the show that you're creating. Going back here, I will show you. Here's the one I've crafted, these two lines. Music and ideas. This is KBCS, a broadcasting service of Bellevue College. Careers start here. Bellevue College is a fully accredited state college offering 2-year associate and 4-year bachelor's degrees, as well as more than 100 professional and technical certificates. Enroll now. Find more at bellevuecollege.edu. And for my second hour, which is divided by my yellow bar, that's just telling me visually that this is my second hour, I have a different one. It's talking about high school diploma, and that's all you're required to do, one each hour. Another thing that you are required to do, and I'm going to go back here to my KBCS folder. This is the old one, so this is not the one I was looking for. That's fine. Let's go back to this one. Now, this is something that KBCS sent us, and we are required to do a couple of things as a radio station. It's an FCC requirement. You need a top of the hour ID. Now, when you get on board with KBCS, they'll suggest that you record one, and so it'll be really short, and Dropbox that to KBCS, and so that they can play it during any show at the top of the show for any show, not just yours. So the legal ID is, this is the entire legal ID. This is FCC requirement. You'll notice it. It's usually Gregory Delia that does the top of the hour legal ID before any show or in the middle of a show. So at the top of the hour, this is required by the FCC to say. So you will be given the opportunity to record that and send that little recording in to KBCS, and you might actually be heard at the top of an hour. Now, there are variations within the hour. So this is what, as a broadcaster, we will pay attention to. Before I move on to that, let me make it clear. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. So at the top of the hour, So up here, before my show begins, you will hear a recorded top of the hour, usually by Gregory Delia. It's not done by us. We do not do top of the hour legal IDs, recording it for our show. The only time you would record your top of the hour legal ID is just to give it to KBCS, and they might pepper it in throughout the day, and your voice could be heard at the top of any hour saying this legal ID. It's separate from being on the Hawaii Radio Connection, but it's kind of cool to hear your voice say that. So going back to the spreadsheet, you would open your show and then you have your mic break. So here, this part right here, this 91.3 KBCS HD1 will be said by us at each mic break in some variation. So going back to this, now we're getting here. So within your program hour, you are going to say a variant of all of these. You can say KBCS HD1. You can say 91.3 KBCS HD1. You could say 93 KBCS HD1, Bellevue, Seattle, Tacoma. Or you could say KBCS HD1, blah, 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 or just KBCS, blah, blah, blah. Those are the variants that are acceptable to KBCS for every mic break at the beginning and at the end of your mic break. Going back to the spreadsheet, let's see how that looks. So here I have 91.3 KBCS HD1, and then I launch into my script. Aloha avakea, e komamai. Now, right before this next music set, look what I have here. I have 91.3 KBCS HD1. A little further down, I have the full, I just have 91.3 KBCS here. And at the end of my mic break, I actually haven't written what I'm going to say before this mic break. But I will say something. I could just say 91.3. And you've heard this on the radio. Now I'm asking you to tune in because you can create those variations. So here I have KBCS HD1 at the beginning of my mic break. And at the end of my mic break, I have 91.3 KBCS. So that's how this can show up for you. So that's a requirement. And then there is two other asks from KBCS. First of all, this is an ask, not a requirement. You could, especially during a pledge drive or just after a pledge drive, you're going to say something to thank your listeners. So they have a generic thank you one, and I have turned it into my DJ name and my show. Now, you can have a generic thank you too. And again, I have turned that in. So they say thank you to all our contributing listeners. I simply put in mahalo because it's Hawaii. And at the end, it says thank you. I say mahalo nui loa. Disclaimers, you could record all of these and send them in, but I've never recorded the disclaimer. The other thing that is a requirement, one each hour is, let's see if I can find it. Fall Fund Drive, promos and BC messaging. Maybe it's in this one. I know I pulled this up before. Let me look at the bottom of this. Nope, I didn't put it in here. All right. So going back to the spreadsheet, I've already got these loaded into my spreadsheet. Here's a requirement. So usually 10 to 15 minutes before the end of your show or your hour. So this yellow bar represents the break between my first hour and my second hour. So 10 to 15 minutes before the end of your hour, you need to say, stay tuned for. And for me, I'm doing the second hour, so I'm saying the second hour of the Hawaii Radio Connection coming up at 1 p.m. Let's go to my second hour. And again, towards the end of my show, I'm saying stay tuned for Balkana coming up at 2 p.m. So if you're doing the first and second hour, you know what to do. If you're only doing the second hour, you must include stay tuned for Balkana coming up at 2 p.m. That's a requirement. Now, there's another requirement. Now, these are short, right? Stay tuned for is very short, so don't worry about that. The next is let listeners know how they can connect with us or the radio station. If a listener does type in listener comment at kbcs.fm or DJ at kbcs.fm and sends us a comment, the station will forward those on to your personal email. So you'll get those responses. Then the other one is things like listen on your desktop, tablet, or mobile phone, visit kbcs.fm. They want that in once an hour or a variant of it. So if I look at the variants in my second hour, I usually mix up my first and second hour so they don't sound the same. Here it is. Connect with KBCS fans worldwide. Find us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And those are your requirements. So your requirement is to say the station ID at the beginning and end of every mic break. You are required to put in a stay tuned for towards the end of your hour. So stay tuned for Balkana coming up at 2 p.m. You are required to put in some sort of connect. This is how we can connect with KBCS. And that's, and the Bellevue College messaging, the PSAs, which is music and ideas. This is KBCS, a broadcasting service of Bellevue College. Sign up here for our wonderful college courses, basically is what you're saying. And that's required. All of those elements are required each hour. And I'm going to stop sharing, and that will be the end of this video. So more to come at a later date.